Now this is some next level bird watching. Today we're going to unbox, install, and activate a new FeatherSnap solar powered camera based bird feeder. This is one of the coolest things I've ever had a chance to get my hands on, and today we're going to check it out. So let's get to it. All right, everybody, welcome to the channel. My name is Jeff, and I run the Beekeeping for Newbies podcast. Today, we're doing something really fun. It's a little bit out of kind of our normal swim lane here, talking about birds versus bees, but it all does kind of run together with the birds and the bees. So we have gotten our hands on the FeatherSnap camera-based bird feeder. This is solar powered. It has all kinds of features, which I'll go over later on. But I wanted to give you a little bit of background as to how I got my hands on this so that you'll kind of understand just kind of a full disclosure things. In the Beekeeping for Newbies podcast, I quite often get people who reach out to do a variety of different sponsorships. And recently we had FeatherSnap, reached out. They wanted to sponsor a couple of ad blocks that are what they call host read ads. So it's basically me reading the advertisement. Pretty normal, no big deal, typical kind of thing. But I don't like advertising or talking about anything really unless I know that it's actually a good product. I want you folks to be able to count on me to steer and guide you towards quality things when they come up, or conversely to tell you something's a piece of junk if it's a piece of junk. So the folks at FeatherSnap, they sent me this feeder as part of a regular ad campaign through my hosting provider. So part of me was like, okay, it's kind of cool. I mean, who doesn't like a bird feeder? All right, we'll see what we can do with this. But I'll tell you what, it didn't take long before I was having a blast. There are so many cool features with this. It was super easy to set up, get everything installed. There's only one little kind of nuanced thing that I found in the whole thing, and I'll go over that with you. But there's 4 or 5 features I want to cover that I think are super cool, and it's going to be fun. So we're gonna go through it all right now. And as we go through this, if you're finding any value to any of the content here, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel so that you'll get more information around beekeeping and other products that we're talking about that are related to beekeeping. If you don't think it's valuable and we missed the mark, please let me know. You drop a comment below and tell me how we can do better. Also, a special thank you to everybody because we just celebrated 4 years of the podcast a couple of days ago. So thank you all for taking the time to listen. But no more jibber jabber. Let's get right into it with the unboxing. I'm going to speed this up a little bit so you don't have to watch every single detail of me opening a box. There's nothing super special about the actual opening process of a box. But just to kind of go over everything that's in here, so you're going to get a quick start guide, a mounting bracket to actually secure it to a pole or to a post, the camera itself, the battery that goes in the camera, the USB-C charger to kind of give it a pre-charge, because once it's up and running, you're not going to need to charge it manually again. That's going to happen via solar. And then, of course, you have the feeder itself. So here we've got everything all laid out in a kind of semi-orderly fashion here as to what you'll get inside the box. Again, everything was well packaged, very well secured, and it looks like everything is pretty sturdy and durable here. And here I'm just taking a quick second to show you how to install the battery. There's a cover on the back of the camera. You just pop that open, insert the battery. It will only go in one way, and then you close it back up and you're all done with that. I'm telling you that now because later on when we're outside, I will show this clip again so that there's some continuity to it, but I did not record it outside just so that we wouldn't have to mess with that outside. And then as you can see right here, there's just a push button on the back of the feeder that you'll push to open the feeder so that you have access to put feed in. And you can't really see it too well in this image, but once we get outside, you'll be able to see that they are 2 distinctly separate sections, and you can put feed on both sides. There's also an extendable perch on the front that you can either push in all the way, pull out halfway, or keep it completely closed, and birds, I guess, can stand on the very edge if they'd like, but you want to give them some place to stand. So I recommend at least taking it out about halfway. And here's a quick shot of both the front and the back of the quick start guide. Again, this has more than enough information to get things up and running. Now here we have the actual base that came with the feeder. So this is the part that's going to insert into the bottom of the feeder. Now this is the mounting bracket for the feeder itself, and it's basically like an L bracket. So this would be great if you were mounting it to the side of a house or a shed, or maybe a 4x4 post, something like that. But you can see here underneath of it, there's these 4 screws. What I did was I unscrewed that middle section from the L bracket completely. and then I put it onto this base. Now, it didn't fit on this base natively because this base came from a pole system that I bought on Amazon. It was about 30 bucks, dirt cheap. I'll leave a link to it in the description below. This is a very sturdy pole system. I like it a lot. I'll show you some more of it in a few minutes, but the holes did not line up exactly right. So you can see here in this picture where there are some holes that are near the base piece that I've installed. I offsetted everything by 45 degrees and just drilled new holes and screwed everything in, and that was completely fine. And once you have your base all ready to go, before you can get everything installed, you're going to want to get the battery fully charged. So I just took a regular charging block, plugged the USB-C cable into it, run that up into the battery. The battery itself is going to have a USB-C receiving connection. Plug that in, and then the LED lights will indicate that it's charging. And I just plugged it in and walked away and did some other things with the pole and getting everything else set up, and I just left this alone. But within a couple of hours, I'm sure it was charged in 15-20 minutes probably. But that's all you got to do to get the battery charged. Okay, and real quick, before we go outside and start the install, I wanted to show you the actual bird feeder pole kit that I bought. This was $30 on Amazon, and I think that you can spend a couple dollars more if you want to go taller, and an even better deal if you want to buy 2 of them. But if you look here on the way this post is set up, you have this base. That's the base that I was showing you a few minutes ago. So what I essentially did was just drilled a couple of extra holes to mount the base that came with the feeder itself onto this pole. So that was pretty easy to do, and it comes in sections, as you can see right here. You've got these different poles you can just screw in together. It's a really easy install, and if you wanted to make it shorter, you could just omit one section or 2 or whatever you want to do that's right for you. So what I really like about this, though, is this piece right here. You can see what you have is basically a big spike in the center with a kind of a horseshoe around it, and then you're going to have a separate section that you're going to put in 90 degrees on top of that, and we'll show you this install in a little bit. But this makes it really stable and sturdy. I'm really happy with this. So again, buy whatever you want to do, make your own if you want, if you're crafty, but this whole thing took me about 4 or 5 minutes tops to install. Really easy, and it's cheap. Now, the feeder has 5 gigabytes of internal storage. It allows you to install a 32 to 256 gigabyte micro SD card. I strongly encourage you to do that, because what happens is, as new pictures and videos are taken, it will overwrite anything that's already been there or anything that's older. So in order for you to kind of maintain that data a little bit longer, you'll want to put in a bigger card. When I'm doing regular audio and video, I want to make sure it's really good quality. So whether it's for the podcast or whether it's doing video for the YouTube channel, I want the best of the best all the time. So I might spend a couple dollars more to have the, like, for example, like a, I don't know, SanDisk or Lexar or Sony, Sanyo, I don't even know. Some of the more reputable name brands, probably like a Samsung or something like that. I'll spend more money to buy a better quality SD card to make sure there's nothing that can go wrong. When we're talking about the SD card that I'm going to use in my bird feeder, I'm not going to go spend $100 on that. It's just not going to happen. So this one here, you can see it's $18, and it's got 4.6 stars, almost 10,000 ratings, and 1,000 of them bought in the last month here. I'm going to roll the dice. This is going to be good enough for my bird feeder. So we'll see how that goes. But again, I'll put a link to this in the description below as well, so you can see the exact same, SD card that I bought for myself. And real quick, I just want to show you the FeatherSnap homepage, and this is feathersnapcam.com. Again, I'm not getting any money for this. This is not anything I'm getting paid for via the YouTube channel. The only thing I'm paid for is to say something in my podcast. So this is completely not a affiliate link. If you buy 10 of them, I get nothing for it. I just think it's super cool, and I wanted to share it with you guys. So if you look here, this is what the app kind of looks like here. The FeatherSnap app, you have pictures and videos. And this is the one nuance that I wanted to tell you about. I mentioned it at the intro. But when you look at a picture and you're like, oh, wow, that's really cool, I want to see the video. So you click the videos button. That ideally you would think that there would be videos over there as well. Well, they're not. What happens is you have a group of pictures that are taken of a specific event. Inside that event, as you can see right here where I'm mousing over, there are these 3 little dots. You have to click the 3 dots, And then inside that menu, it's going to say retrieve video. That's where you have to go to get the video. I guess what happens is either the video is automatically stored, but it's not made readily available inside of the memory on the feeder, or maybe it's automatically uploaded to the FeatherSnap folks, and then you got to download it. Not sure exactly what's happening on the back end, but once you select retrieve video, it takes a few minutes and the video shows up. So that's kind of a thing, and we'll walk through that in the app as well. I'll do a screenshot or a screen recording of that as well, and we'll take a look at that. Now, FeatherSnap's unique features here. So this is what's kind of cool. So here on the camera, again, it's really easy to install. We're going to go through that in a few minutes, but it just snaps in and out. You can replace a battery if you had to. You can clean the lens if some dirt or debris or whatever got on there. Again, really easy to do. The bird book is where a bird shows up at your feeder, and you can say, oh, wow, like in this example here, there's a cardinal in the bird book. You can select cardinal. You can go down to... You can go down here where it says AI-powered bird watching. Inside the app, you can choose to have the AI automatically identify the bird, and then you can then save that in your bird book. You can read all the information about the bird. It's really, really cool. Now, the year-round durability, I can't speak to quite yet because mine's only been up for about a week, but I will do a follow-up video in about a year, and we'll talk about that. Solar-powered. When I installed mine, just from the process of taking the battery off the charger, doing the install, getting the initial setup done, the battery was showing 97%. I got everything set up, walked away, looked at the app, it said 97, checked again about 15 minutes later, it was at 100%. Today is a cloudy, overcast day, and when I bring up the app, it's still showing 100% battery. So the solar is absolutely doing what it's supposed to do. And here's just a couple of shots you can see where people are using the app. But this is a great example here of where I was talking before about being able to use a couple of different types of feed. In this case here, you see we've got corn on the one side and a regular kind of wild bird mix on the other. And that's kind of neat if you want to attract different types of birds. There is a subscription that's required in order to use the app. Subscription plan, there it is. $7 a month or $60 annually. Okay, so that's all I've got on the screenshots. Let's go outside to the install. Okay, so it's going to be pretty intuitive when you take everything out and you do your inventory, but there are clearly two different pieces that look the same. One of them will insert into the other, and if you try to do it the wrong way, it won't work. So the first piece I installed with that U-shaped spike on the sides and the main spike in the middle. Once that's in the ground, you can see in the video here, I started with sandals and I came back with a pair of boots on because I wanted to really stand on this and make sure that it was well secured into the ground. So once the first piece is in the ground, and it wouldn't be a bad idea too to maybe take a level, like a small magnetic level that you can just hook to the side and make sure that everything is level. I just kind of eyeballed it and it came out pretty good. But if you're the kind of person who really likes those things to be perfect, and I certainly can't blame you, just hook a level on and confirm level. And then the next thing we're going to do is take the opposing piece, which slides right over top of the first one, and you're going to put that in at a 90-degree angle to the first. So essentially what you have is a big X. After that, all of the pole sections are threaded just like any other nut and bolt would be, and you'll just thread one piece into the other, and when you get to the top, you'll take the base that came with it that we installed the FeatherSnap feeder base onto. And once everything is secured, that's basically kind of step one in all of the setup. I just went ahead and put the feeder on top just to make sure everything is stable, secure, looks good. Got it kind of oriented in the direction that I liked it. And once I was happy that that was the way that I wanted it to be, I went ahead and took it back off and added some feed. So you'll see here that I really didn't do this right. I probably should have had the feed in a container and then used a cup or something to pour everything in a nice orderly manner, which I did not do, but we got the feed in. Now there is a section there in the middle. You can see me with the stick here trying to get everything out of that middle section. The top of the feeder would not close with all of the excess feed that I poured all over the place, but once I cleaned it out, everything was fine. So now you can see it installed, it's on the pole, and it's all ready to go. So let's move on now to getting everything set up so you can start monitoring on the app. Now here we have the actual camera from the feeder, and I'm going to go ahead and pull off these two pieces of protective plastic that come with anything that has a screen nowadays. So we'll go ahead and go through that satisfying process of removing those. Then we'll go ahead and open up the cover for the battery. We'll get the battery installed. And we'll go ahead and put it back in the feeder for now. We will have to take it out again when we're going to activate everything, but we'll do that again in a few minutes. Now that we've got the battery installed into the camera, let's go over to the app and we'll walk through the app side of the setup. At this point, you want to go ahead and go to the appropriate app store for your operating system, whether it's Android or iOS, and you're going to do a search for FeatherSnap. So as you can see, it's already installed on mine, so it gives me the open option, but again, it's a pretty standard install. You can just go ahead and get that going and go ahead and get your subscription set up if you're going to subscribe. Now from here, I'm on the second tab in under My Feeder. And in My Feeder, I can see that I'm signed up for a yearly plan. My battery's at 100% and that I've got a good connection to the Wi-Fi. Now, one thing that I did not mention earlier is I have a pretty good understanding of where my Wi-Fi signal is good or not within my house and kind of around the edges of my yard. That's definitely something you want to keep in mind because this does have to have an active and decent, doesn't have to be great, but you have to have a decent connection to the internet in order to take advantage of the features of the feeder and the cameras. Now my feeder, as you see here, it's called BK4N, that's Beekeeping for Newbies. But if I wanted to add a new feeder, just go ahead and click Add Feeder here below. Now from here, it's going to tell you to insert your battery. So as we did before, but I'll go ahead and give you a quick recap here, right? You open up the cover, install the battery, close the cover. And the next thing it's going to say is to ensure that the camera is turned on and in range. So you'll press and hold the power button. You'll see the camera light come on. You know that it's on. And now you can go ahead and use the QR code scanner that comes up to scan the QR code on the camera. Once you do that, it will see the feeder, bring it in. It'll start making its connection and you're pretty much done. Now you'll notice from this same screen, we have something that says live feed on there. While we're here, let's go ahead and take a quick look at that. When you click on live feed, it's going to take about 10 seconds or so to load. But here it is. This is a live feed of the feeder that we just set up in the yard. So this was recorded a couple of days ago, but you can actually see on my screen right now where I have, the only thing that's different is I have a fair connection instead of having a good connection. But when I go to my bird book, I see I've got a Carolina wren, and that's a bird that was identified by the app and a picture was taken. So when I go to my home screen here, I can see that I've got two videos because I'm on the videos tab. You want to watch it in slow-mo, you certainly can do that. So let's go over to this video, put it in slow-mo. See him moving a little bit slower, so that's kind of cool. But this is that one thing I mentioned before. So we go to the snaps, and you see here the number 3, the number 2, the number 3. These are all showing, of course, how many pictures were taken during that snap. So when I go in and look at them, I can now then scroll side to side and see the pictures. So at the bottom, you can do share, download, add to bird book. I've already got the Carolina wren in my bird book, so I don't need to do that. I don't want to delete any of the pictures right now, so I'm not doing that. But I did mention before, you see these 3 little dots. These 3 little dots up here in the upper right of any of these will allow me to download the video. So all you do is click the dots and it says request video. That's all you have to do if you want to get the actual videos downloaded. And then they will show up over here in the videos section. There is nowhere else that you can find this within the app. So just if you want your videos, that's where you get them. And again, I did not read the manual. I actually went to the manual to try to find this. I searched for video and I didn't see it. I may have overlooked it, but I didn't use the manual for any of the setup or anything. Everything is really, really very intuitive. So folks, thank you so much for stopping by today to check out the video on the FeatherSnap bird feeder. I think it's hands down one of the coolest things I've ever seen. I think there's so much you can do with this. If you have kids or grandkids, or you're a big time bird person and you just love having pictures of your own birds from your yard. You know, typically you have to go all over the place and set up and have cameras ready, and to capture videos and pictures the way that this does, I think it's really cool and unique. And I'm just kind of geeked out about it. I'm excited to see what happens because my feeder's only been up for about a week. And I think that as the cooler weather sets in, the winter gets here, and all the birds, the migratory birds and the other birds that are looking for a snack. I think I'm going to get a lot of really, really cool footage, and I'm excited about that. So I will follow up. I'll post videos and pics and keep everybody updated. Like I said, I'm not a big bird geek, but I think it's just a really cool thing to be a part of what's going on in your backyard and to see these beautiful animals doing their thing. So folks, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you found some use to it. If I missed something in the video, let me know. If there's something else that you think is cooler, better, neater, or you have any ideas for people how they can set theirs up and get maximum value out of it, feel free to share in the comments. Consider just very, very gently tapping that like button if you wouldn't mind. And like I said, if you found some value in it, consider subscribing, and definitely check out the Beekeeping for Newbies podcast. We're trying to get content out as regularly as we can. We're coming up in the slow season here as it gets to the fall and the winter, but we're still trying to have some fun. So thanks everybody. Take care. Be kind to one another. And remember that I love you and there's nothing you can do about it. We'll talk to you soon.